What's up, you guys? We are over here today with my Bronco and we're gonna be trying to get this thing running. I tried to start the Bronco about a week ago. It would turn on for a sec and then die. And my theory is that it wasn't getting fuel for some reason, so I was suspecting fuel filter, bad gas, something like that. Because when I went to use some starter fluid and sprayed it straight into the carb, it fired right up and then obviously died once the starter fluid was no longer in the carburetor. So when I was doing a closer inspection on the carb, I could see a bunch of gas was leaking out of pretty much every gasket. So that's what we're gonna be working on today. I'm gonna be pulling this carb off. And if you're asking if I know what I'm doing, the answer is no. This type of engine is totally new to me. I've learned everything I know on my Subaru and the Z. So this is a whole new ballpark for me, but I've watched a few YouTube videos, so I might as well be an expert at this point. All right, mission success. Got the carburetor pulled off. I've got the intake manifold covered here so nothing falls into it. And then got the carburetor down here. So I'm gonna bring this home. I've got a full rebuild kit for it that we're gonna just rebuild everything on this, take a look at all the other components and make sure nothing needs to be replaced there. Pulled the fuel filter off as well so that I can look into getting a new one of those just to be safe, but we are ready to go. And my dad, who spent a lot more time working on these motors back in his day, is gonna help me rebuild that because I have no experience with it and could definitely use some guidance. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping with that carburetor being rebuilt and a fresh tank of gas that this thing fires right up, because I've been thinking about driving this truck for a very long time and I can't wait to get out on the road this summer. Well, all right, we're back home with the carburetor as promised. Dad's here to help out and save the day. In a Northwest Express shirt, I might add. So what's your assessment of the carburetor currently?
I think it's pretty clean. I think we just got some seals that have kind of rotted since we've been letting it sit for so many years.
So we've got the carburetor here ready to tear into it, full rebuild kit, some tools, so let's get to it. So we're seeing our first signs of potential issue here on the diaphragm. It's really dried out and dirty, so that's definitely good. We're tearing that apart to replace it. Just keeps getting better when we open it up. Down here, I don't know what all of that is, but that is definitely part of the issue. And then the fuel filter that feeds into there looks dirty as well, so it's definitely good that we tore this apart. So pretty quickly, once we started tearing apart the carburetor, we noticed we had the wrong rebuild kit, which is over there. So I just went to Napa, picked up the correct one, and got a new fuel filter. So we're gonna continue tearing it apart and start replacing the gaskets. Carb mostly disassembled. We've got everything off of it that we need, that we can start replacing it. We vacuumed out that kind of weird dusty stuff that was in there that we showed you earlier. And what we're gonna do now is go over with some carb cleaner, get all of that stuff out before we start reassembling. So the carburetor is all freshly rebuilt and put back together. We put a new fuel filter on as well. So that should take care of all of this. Now the next thing we need to do is obviously reinstall this on the truck, but because of how dirty this was inside, I'm worried about the condition of the fuel tank and the lines. So I'm gonna definitely drain the gas out of the fuel tank that's in it currently and probably drop that tank to assess the condition of it. If it's too trashed, I'll probably either clean it out or buy a new one. They're actually not that expensive. It's like 150 bucks for a new one. And then blow the lines out before we even try to start this thing. What's up, you guys? I am back with the Bronco. I've got the freshly rebuilt carb down below me, a fresh tank of gas. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure that the fuel pump is actually pumping gas and make sure that's not an issue. If that's pumping gas, then we're gonna assess the quality of the gas in the tank. I'm gonna pull it all out regardless, but I'm just hoping there's not any sediment or anything in there that makes me think that I need to pull the tank down and either clean it or replace it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start checking on that stuff, see what the gas is doing, make sure the fuel pump works, throw you guys on a tripod and let's get to it because I wanna get this thing started tonight. All right guys, the gas pump works, so that is one thing off the list of things that potentially needed to be replaced. So we've got a working gas pump, the carburetor has been rebuilt, I've got a new fuel filter, so we're looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and pump this gas out of the tank because it does look a little bit yellow, and I've got 5 gallons of fresh gas here to put in it. Unfortunately, if the gas gauge in this thing is right, there is 13 gallons of gas in the tank, so I gotta figure out where to put that. I've got a bunch of containers here, so obviously I'll fill those. There's another car parked right next to the Bronco, so I'm not sure if I can set up a tripod and show you guys as I'm pumping the gas out of the tank. If I can, I will. If not, I'll see you when I'm done. So as you just saw, I tried to siphon gas out of the tank and couldn't get anything. I had a good 1.5 feet of the tubing down into the tank, and so I was figuring either I wasn't reaching it or the tank might actually be empty. I knocked on the tank, it seems empty. So I'm a little confused. So it's possible the gas gauge just isn't working, which is not uncommon on these old cars. Maybe it's an issue with the sending unit. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna go ahead and throw the carburetor back together and then probably put the fresh 5 gallons in the tank and see if it starts. So I'm gonna put you guys back on the tripod, throw this carburetor together and get one step closer to starting this thing. All right, moment of truth. I've got the key in the ignition. Let's do this thing. Fired up, definitely sounded different than before, but I'm wondering if the timing's off or something. So I'm gonna take a look around and we'll get back to this. All right, boys, this is take 2. As you guys just saw, it fired up for the first time in 3 to 4 years. It was a little rough at first. I'm now convinced there is gas in the tank. I just talked to one of the neighbors here who's a full-time mechanic and has worked on a ton of different classics, and he says you can't siphon gas out of these classic Broncos. So I need to pull the skid plate off the rear main fuel tank and see if there's a drain down there that I can drain out some of this old gas. I'm gonna take a look into that, and if not, figure out what my option is from there, because I really don't want to pull down a full tank of gas. That's just awkward to deal with. Well, it's been a few hours since I updated you guys. It's like 10:30 now and I have an 1.5 hour drive home, so I need to get going. But definitely making progress from where it was before I pulled the carb and rebuilt that. There seems to be some sort of fueling issue still, and something between the main and the auxiliary tank doesn't seem to be working. We were trying to blow out the lines and make sure that those were clear, but I think I need to replace some of the rubber lines that are between the pump and the tank. So I'm gonna work on that tomorrow. I need to get going, but I'll see you guys when I pick up the camera again tomorrow. What is up? We are back with the Bronco and we've got a new plan of attack today. I brought reinforcement. My dad's here today. So what we're gonna do is, it could be the pump that's gone bad, so I went and picked up a new fuel pump. Before we replace that, we're gonna run a line, rather than going back to the tank that's in the truck, into a fresh can of gas and see if it's even getting enough fuel through the pump, because there is a good chance the pump's gone bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook a line up to that, give that a shot, and if we need to, we'll replace the fuel pump. So I've got the line into a fresh tank of gas coming off the fuel pump, so we're gonna go ahead and try to start it and see if that fixes our problem. All right, take two. So we opened this up, there wasn't fuel in here. So we filled that up just by pouring it directly into there. And our thought is, because we're getting fuel in the line down here, that it's either getting into the pump and not going through. So either the pump is bad or something is in this hard line. So we're gonna try firing it up. If it fires up, then that pretty much narrows it down to that, I would think, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, take two. So we disconnected the hard line that goes up to the carburetor, blew that out. There doesn't appear to be any obstruction in that line, so we've narrowed it down to the fuel pump. I've got a new one. It's a $30 part, actually it's like a $25 part. So just for peace of mind, we're gonna replace that, see if it fires up, and just keep checking things off the list and get the process of elimination down here. The distributor cap may need to be replaced, but we'll cross that bridge once we've replaced this and see if we can get it to fire up. So let's do it. We are back where we started officially. We've got the new fuel pump in. Replace the rubber line that goes from the hard line into the fuel pump, but we're still gonna bypass it right now and go straight into some fresh gas. And this thing should start up. So I'm gonna throw you guys on a tripod and hopefully you witness it starting up for the first time, fully functioning. As you can probably tell from the noise behind me, we got the truck running. We swapped the carb over from my grandma's 77 Bronco just to see if that worked. It fired right up, so we made a few changes, re-cleaned the jets on the other one, fixed the little rubber stopper and flipped the spring around that was apparently backwards. I'm not gonna throw it on tonight because it's getting a little bit late, but I'm just so stoked to hear the truck running. Let me show you guys real quick. So we still got a little bit more work to do to this thing. The transmission pan is leaking among a few other things that I just want to take care of before we actually take it out on the road too much. I did get to drive it around the block and it brought the biggest smile to my face, but I will catch up with you guys in the future. I think there will be more on this video as well of what all it took to get the car back operational. All right guys, I'm gonna fast forward you like almost 10 months probably since all of that stuff was filmed and we got the Bronco running last year. Maybe not 10 months, but it's been a long time. So I just wanted to update you guys. I've been driving the truck around, enjoying it, and it's, oh man, I love this truck so much. It's like so special to me for so many different reasons. Still got a few things that we need to do on it, but since I filmed that video, I did replace the transmission gasket, so that's no longer leaking, and we've done a few things under the hood. So let me pop the hood and show you real quick. So we got the hood popped. Obviously engine bay looks very clean. We got this all detailed when we did a full detail on this truck, which will be the next video that you guys see. So you'll see that whole process go down. But mechanically, to get this thing running a little bit better over the last year, we've replaced a couple different things. So for one, we got a new distributor cap on here. With that, we replaced the rotor on the other side of that. And then all new spark plug wires. Here we had some cracking on one of them down here. So I replaced those. And the truck's running pretty well, but there's still a couple things wrong with it that we're gonna address in future videos. So first and foremost, unfortunately, despite rebuilding the entire carburetor and doing some fine tuning on that, the truck just doesn't idle perfectly, is the best way to put it. Like when I fire it up, it idles really high. The auto choke doesn't actually kick it back down in the RPMs, like it doesn't even seem to reach it on that point of the carburetor. And then when you do kick it back down, it idles really low, as if it like almost wants to die. And I'm having that same issue when I get to like stoplights and stop signs, that it almost sounds like it's gonna die. I put it in neutral and it's fine. So kind of weird, and I think that once we get that sorted out, that it'll make this truck a lot more enjoyable to drive around this summer. Now, a few other things that the truck needs and parts that I have sitting around for it already. The transfer case bushings down below are absolutely shot. Rubber has sat for a long time. I don't know when they were last replaced, but they look like they've been totally pancaked and are not in good condition. So we need to get those replaced. And we'll do that once we have the lift in here and can throw it up on the rack and have easier access to that. Got some new Falcon tires coming for this truck that we're gonna be able to enjoy this summer and probably take this thing off-road a little bit more. But I just can't wait to get out and enjoy this thing. Like, it is such a fun car. People love the Broncos. Like, anywhere I go in this truck, people like seem to be drawn to it. And it's just a really fun like vehicle to experience. So I can't wait to get more of that this summer. Now, next week's video, you guys are gonna see, we did a full detail on this truck. And when I say full detail, I'm talking like 30 hours of detailing this thing inside and out. Since I started working at Griot's, I've been able to learn a ton more about car care, really up my skills there, and obviously have access to a lot more product that I didn't have before. And let me tell you, I threw it all at this truck. I wanted it to be spotless. And it was restored in 2010, so I had a really good starting point with the new paint and all that kind of stuff. But after sitting for 5 years, it really needed like a full detail. And we had a great transformation. I decontaminated the entire exterior, did a full 2-step paint correction on it, put new protectional wax on it, polished the glass, put glass seal on it, like whole 9 yards, cleaned it inside and outside, got the engine bay, like it's stunning. So look forward to that video next week. But until then, peace out and I'll see you soon.